As a photographer, as an artist, you rarely see the effects of the concrete change that your work can bring, because it's so abstract and it's unmeasurable. My name's Richard Mosse and I'm an artist from Ireland, and I'm 43 years old. I make photography and video. I've created my own little practice that is halfway between art and a documentary practice. If you come to Photo Elysée, you'll see a film called Broken Spectre, which is a film I made in collaboration with Trevor Tweeton, cinematographer, and Ben Frost, composer. It's a very specific type of immersive video installation, and it's concerned with the different fronts of deforestation in the Amazon rainforest. So as of 1970, only 1% of the Amazon was deforested. What happened was the Brazilian government changed and became a military regime, a dictatorship. And they wanted to develop the Amazon. To do so, they built a road, the Trans-Amazonian Highway, right through the forest. And then they needed people. So they transplanted populations from, impoverished parts of Brazil, like the northeast, as well as the big cities like Sao Paulo in the south. And they dropped them along the road into these little new towns to farm the forest, to turn it into farmland. So since then, which is all within living memory, within a few generations, we've lost almost 20% of the forest. That's all within 50 years. So if you compare it to other forms of the Anthropocene, many of which were are the result of our ancestors carrying out forms of extractive violence. This is very different insofar as it's happening right now. And so because it's happening now, it can be stopped. So that's one of the reasons I chose this as a kind of case study of climate change, global heating, something that we really need to look at and understand. The scale of it's just hard to describe. The Amazon forest itself, it spans 9 countries, so it's an object so big that we can't imagine it. And that got me excited, and I wanted to dial in on the subject at various scales. The multispectral's from the air, and then the ultraviolet is just to describe literally a few square centimeters on the forest floor. And the third scale that I chose was the human scale. From the human point of view, using black and white infrared analog film, because I wanted to give people something to relate to. I'm trying to use the indexical part of them as scientific imaging technologies, but I'm also combining that with the aesthetic power. This ability of these very aggressive aesthetic images to disarm you, to make you look in a new way, to defamiliarize you. I was traveling for months and months up and down the Trans-Amazonian Highway and all the fishbone roads that come out of it. And I was searching for the fault lines. I was thinking of it as a war photographer, because it is a kind of war there. And there is violence. A guy called Junior Hekorero Yanomami was posting about an attack that happened in a small aldea. It's a village. And at that point I was like, well, there's the fault line right there. So I went to Boa Vista and I met with Junior and hired 2 light aircraft, and we landed and spent some time with the community. And they were really angry. You can imagine. And in the film, one young woman spoke most powerfully of all, and her name's Adnea. She literally fled gunfire strafing her hut in the middle of the night, had to grab her young children and run into the forest in the dark. Only a couple of nights before we arrived. So her anger is real, it's palpable. And she shouts at me, you white people coming in here, I'm not dressed like this for nothing. I'm not dressed like this to entertain you, I want you to tell your people, your community and your leaders, we need help right now, and this is happening. People really believe in making this film happen and finish, in spite of all the challenges. And I think you can feel that love in the film, Broken Spectre is very much an artwork insofar as it really embraces and leans into the ambiguity of human experience. And as you will know if you watch the film, that Adnea, she's asking for a wire to be built across the river and for the military to come to enforce this blockage of, a blockade on illegal gold miners in her community. And guess what happened? Lula sent the army up to Palamu, and the first thing they did is build the cable across the river. Now, whether that's a result of the film, I don't know, but maybe.